How can I learn Sanskrit if I can't read or write Hindi? I live in Australia, never needed to learn Hindi. And what makes Sanskrit such an excellent programming language? Why is it so similar to Greek and Latin? And how did people thousands of years ago formulate such a meticulously crafted language that is perfect for computers today? Also, what religious texts should I read if I haven't read any? And what is the best English translations? Okay, let's. There are lots of questions in here. Let's talk about Sanskrit. Yeah, how can I learn Sanskrit if I can't read or write Hindi? Well, Sanskrit, the Sanskrit is a language, and the medium in which it is written is now the script. The Devanagari script. In the past, it was written in various other scripts, most likely the Sindhu Saraswati script, then the Brahmi script, then also the Kharashtra script, then the Sharda script. Lots and lots of scripts have been used to write Sanskrit. Today, the primary script is the Devanagari script. So, if you want to learn Sanskrit, you need to learn the Devanagari script. You can do it in 4 hours, and then you practice for a week. You'll become very comfortable with the Devanagari script. There's no big deal. Learning a script is no big deal. I remember as a kid, as a college kid, I remember one day I had nothing to do. I was bored. I picked out a dictionary that I don't have here. It's called the American Heritage Dictionary. I went to a random page. It opened on the Arabic script, and I decided to learn the Arabic script. And within a couple of hours, I was able to start writing my name and other things in the Arabic script. I now don't remember much of it, yeah, because I haven't bothered to practice. I think you can learn any script in a matter of hours, yeah, especially one that is intrinsically your own. It's part of your heritage. So you need to learn the Devanagari script. It will take you just a matter of hours, and with that, you can start learning Sanskrit. Now the question is, what makes Sanskrit such an excellent programming language? Well, Sanskrit is not a programming language. A programming language has a very limited lexicon. It needs a very limited number of characters. Yeah, Sanskrit is not a programming language. It is not an excellent programming language. The thing about Sanskrit is that it is a very logical language. It's almost algorithmic in nature. It has what we call a completely formulated grammar, which is the Ashtadhyayi of Panini. No other natural language has this, and it's the only example of a generative grammar. Yeah, it's the only example among all the natural languages that has a generative grammar, in contrast to other languages which have a descriptive grammar, right? So that's the difference between Sanskrit and other languages. Sanskrit is a very logical. It has a very logical algorithmic grammar. It has a generative grammar. No other language has. So a generative grammar is one in which, on the basis of your very well established lexicon and a set of very specific rules, the grammar can generate all acceptable expressions of the language, and only those expressions of the language which are acceptable. Yeah, so that is the thing about Sanskrit. It's got what we call the Shabda Bodh, a systematic method of analyzing the meaning of any sentence. Yeah, so that's why we call Sanskrit a very it's like a programming language, but it's not. Okay, it's a natural language. It doesn't quite have a context specific grammar. The thing in machine translate, see, these days we have Google Translate, which is a machine translation. We translate from a source language to a target language. Yeah, the most challenging application of natural language processing, which is machine translation of source language to target language, is the logic, the algorithm that we use. So when you have descriptive grammars, it's very hard, and that's why you see lots of times that Google Translate doesn't do a very good job. But when you have a completely formulated grammar, a generative grammar, then it becomes trivial for a machine translation system to translate accurately. Only Sanskrit has that, and that is something. And the works of Panini are the foundation of all linguistics today. Panini, even in the West, is recognized as the father of linguistics. So that is the reason why many people believe that Sanskrit is an excellent programming language. No, it's not. Sanskrit cannot be used as a programming language. Of course, you can use Sanskrit expressions and terms in a programming language instead of your Latin script that you use in let's say Python. In Python syntax, you could use Devanagari script and Sanskrit words in that. You could use that. That's quite easy to do. Yeah, but it's not a programming language. But it's an extremely logical language. It's perfectly logical, 100% logical. There is no ambiguity. Yeah, Shabdabodh, the systematic method of analyzing and of parsing a language, a sentence, and analyzing the precise meaning of the sentence that only Sanskrit has. So that's why people say that people have the belief that Sanskrit is a wonderful programming language. It is not quite that, but it is the most scientific, the most algorithmic, the most precise language out there, with the most superior grammar, if you want to say, if you want to call it that. Yeah. Is it very similar to Greek and Latin? No, it's not. Greek and Latin have, I mean, we have a whole bunch of languages which are called the Indo-European language family. Sanskrit is the oldest of them all. So yeah, all of these languages share some similarities with Sanskrit. But if you speak Greek, it doesn't mean you will be able to understand any Sanskrit at all. Yeah, not necessarily. Or Latin. And Greek and Latin aren't as precise as Sanskrit, right? Like I said, the Sanskrit has a completely formulated grammar and a generative grammar. Greek and Latin don't have that. So these are all languages that all emerged out of the old language, which may have been pre-Vedic Sanskrit. Yeah, but it is the classical Sanskrit of Panini that has these characteristics that no other language in human knowledge, in existence, or in world history have. That's why we call Sanskrit Deva Bhasha, perhaps the language of the gods.